Okay, welcome back everyone. It is time for our final session here on the main stage today. And to see us out in style, we're looking at innovating lifestyle brands in a digital world. To talk us through elements of design thinking, branding and innovation, and why collaboration in the new workplace really matters, let's welcome Christian Saclier, VP of Design Innovation over at PepsiCo. Hello, Christian, how are you today?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Really pleased to be with you.
So pleased to be with you as well. I feel like I'm automatically being sucked into a brilliant, fun meeting with your setup here. I love it. Thank you.
That's fair.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I know you have some slides for us, so we're just going to bring those up now. We'll let you work your way through them. Can't wait to hear it. And then I'll be back shortly with some audience questions and questions myself.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, so again, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to be with you today and share this perspective on innovating lifestyle brands in the digital world. But first, before I start, I'd like to just make sure that everybody is familiar with the breadth of the portfolio that we have at PepsiCo, because the PepsiCo company name stands a lot for the Pepsi brand, but Pepsi is a brand, PepsiCo is a company name. And so as you can see here from those few images, we have a breadth of offerings in our portfolio that span from beverages, but also snacks. And we have actually an extreme amazing portfolio of brand that is really allowing us designers expressing ourselves on those various opportunities and connecting with consumers on a daily basis. And I joined PepsiCo a bit more than 2 years ago. And one of the reasons why I joined PepsiCo is because of the amazing emotional relationship that we have succeeded into creating over the years with our consumers. And as an example of that, I just wanted to share with you that picture from Cindy Crawford. We decided to recreate the ad from the 80s, where she was at that time, very at the peak of her career, I would say, and really became famous with that specific ad. She recreated that ad for free because she wanted to give that specific benefit to a charity. And it shows, some of the love, some of the passion, some of the energy that comes with our brand, with people particularly embracing the relationship and the emotional connection through our brands and our products. Another example of that is Christina Clemens, one of the 2021 Olympics participants who decided to show up with a Doritos hearing at the competition, just to capture the attention of the brand, but also because she was in love with the brands and really wanted to show up with the brand that she cares and she loves. And that's really the kind of emotional relationship that we see happening between our consumers and our brands, whether they are people walking in the streets of New York with a Pepsi t-shirt or a Lay's t-shirt, or as we see here, people using their celebrity to communicate and to share the passion that they have with some of our brands. Even when we want to get unnoticed and when we are trying to conduct tests online, which are supposed to be phantom tests, so not supposed to be public, some of our fans are actually spotting us, are communicating on us on social platforms, and this ends up being in the press on articles. So this shows again there is a community of fans around our brands and people really in passion with the work that we've been doing and the kind of connection that we are creating to stay up with the trends and stay clearly closely connected with our consumers. And so when it comes to the way that we are showing up to our consumers, of course, you know of us through the retail, but e-commerce is definitely another substantial part of our revenues. And when you want to be noticed, when you want to be connected with your communities, you obviously need to use social media and you need to be part of the stories, you need to be part of the lifestyle of our consumers in order to get closer to their reality and also understand how to better engage with them. And for one of the recent launches that we've made on one of our new brands, we actually tested a few tactics to improve the way we could connect with consumers, and particularly in that instance, using Instagram as one of the platforms to communicate and to connect with our consumers. We have made some attempts to improve our CTR by creating specifically designed sequences to disrupt the feed, because we are all bombarded with thousands of information and publicities around the world, when we are scrolling those social platforms. And the last thing you want is to just scroll indefinitely and not have people paying attention to the work you're trying to do and the messages you're trying to pass on. So what we've done here has been to create and design a specific sequence that was designed to clearly disrupt the feed and get people traction on our product and interest in order to then make sure that the call to action at the end was converting into a click-through rate. And we have sextuples our numbers for that campaign, which clearly shows that when you are paying attention to the design and to the sequence of the way you are interacting with your consumers, you can clearly improve your numbers really drastically. When it comes to some of our products, we are also, of course, connecting in different ways by introducing personalization features. And one of the new products that we have introduced in the past couple of years on the market is SodaStream Professionals. And you will see more and more of those machines penetrating, the network as we are spreading our innovations around the world. And in that instance, we are developing apps and ways for consumers to personalize and to customize what they expect of our products. So whether this is about the flavor content, whether this is about sparkling versus still water, whether this is cold about slightly warmer type of water, we are giving consumers a lot of options for them to customize and personalize what they want from our products. And this goes far into the thinking in terms of up to where should we take this. And so, like many companies in the food industry, we are looking at our products and what's the way to make sure that our products are even more relevant on the basis of consumer data that we are acquiring in order to better make our recommendations and develop products that are better suited for the needs of each and every single individual. So this is a GX sweat patch, which we launched a couple of months ago. And that one is, as you can see here, assessing your sweat rate and your sodium concentration. And this then is guiding consumers into what that means from an hydration perspective. And of course, if we are pushing the thinking a little further, we can think about, okay, we have today different products in our portfolio. What is the role that nutrition should play into the way that we are showcasing our products to consumers and the way we are fitting within their lifestyle? And so personalized nutrition is clearly an element of brainstorming, of creativity for us. And we truly believe that there are ways that we can guide people into better understanding what they should eat, when they should eat it, in order to cope with their lifestyle, but also allow them to reach their ambition and goals. When it comes to interacting with our consumers and creating even more emotional bonds, we are sometimes also making experiments and pushing the boundaries of what we can offer as a company. And recently, some of you might have seen that we dropped a few mics in the NFT community. And this was there to actually test a bit the boundaries and test that new reality, that new world, and enter some new emotional relationship with our consumers. So these NFTs were dropped for free on the different NFT platforms. And the secondary sales from the first owners that acquired those specific NFTs generated 7 million in transactions. And it quickly became one of the most intense transactions during the period after we dropped the mic. So this shows that there is, again, a level of emotional connections, no matter what is the kind of community. And we wanted to be part of that experiment and part of the exercise into understanding what could NFTs bring to a brand like Pepsi, and vice versa, what could we bring to that specific community. When it comes to the way we work and how we are thinking around those different projects, we basically are practicing design thinking like most of you or all of you, if not more. And basically, we are always looking into our work through the design-driven lens and how should we think about the viability, the feasibility, and the desirability. And the design thinking principles that we are putting forward are based on empathy, prototyping, and strategy. So this is a practice that we, of course, generated through the design team, that we extended to the cross-functional team around the organization, and which is really paying off in terms of aligning the different key stakeholders and getting us to perform as a company, whether we talk about nearing innovations or longer term kind of innovations. Now, when it comes to the way we look at innovation at PepsiCo, we basically have a certain model that is here shown where, as you can see, we're navigating from breakthrough innovation, which is far out and with higher incrementality, to branding innovation, which is really the day-to-day work that we are doing to stay accurate and relevant for our communities and connecting with the consumers. And in between, we have what we call refresh and reframe, which are projects about either evolving some of the value propositions and the benefits that we're offering to consumers in our existing categories, or evolving to new benefits with the refresh projects that I'm showing here. When it comes to the COVID-19 period, as I told you, I joined PepsiCo 2 years ago, so that was right in the midst of the pandemic, in actually March 2020. And we looked into what was the pandemic impact on the consumer megatrends. So we looked into health and wellness, convenience, bifurcation, energy and mood benefits, localization and sustainability. And what we have done has been to understand how those would be impacted by the COVID context and the COVID reality. And we decided to pivot our approach, and rather than having an agenda that was spanning across 5 macro spaces to explore in a certain period of time, we have decided to accelerate our agenda and to explore all of the macro spaces at the same time. So this means that we worked on the 5 topics that you see here on the right-hand side: nurture by nature, which relates really to the source of our products and how do we get consumers closer to what they think of real food; health management, which is really what is the relationship between health and nutrition and how can we contribute to that exercise; energy management, which clearly is speaking to how do people manage their level of energy during the day, whether this is about mood energy or whether it's about physical energy. Physical performance was pushing it to the extreme with brands such as Gatorade in terms of the physical performance. And the last bit here is convenience, satiation and nutrition, which relates to how do we serve our communities in a convenient way and providing the right level of nutrition around the world. So we did that exercise, which was really looking at the macro trends, looking at the consumer tensions, and generating a set of North Stars, which are giving us a long-term vision as to what we want to reach, and then generating solutions across horizons. And all of this was done in the context of the products that we are thinking of for the future, but also, of course, how are we connecting with our consumers, and what is the way that the digital lens is actually adding and augmenting dimensions for us to create new business models and new way to connect through digital platforms, leveraging consumer data and relationship that we establish through those platforms. Of course, when it comes to the way we work, we cannot ignore that connecting internationally with cross-functional teams around the world has been a stretch for all of us during the past 2 years. And we've been leveraging extensively Miro as a collaborative tool for us to work as teams on all of our various activities on brainstorming and connecting with the teams to generate new sets of ideas. And this has been really an experiment that has been pushed to the extreme, and we can be considered, like many of you, I'm sure, extreme users of Miro, because we must have been created, I don't know, 500, maybe 1,000 bots in the past 2 years that have really helped us consolidate and align our people on the new kind of ideas that we wanted to co-create together. And this could have never happened without embracing new technologies and digital technologies. And so, of course, as we are looking into the future and thinking about the future, we are considering as well new ways of working, new ways to break the barriers, new ways to collaborate. And we are piloting and testing with workroom horizons in order to understand and assess what boundaries we are capable of eliminating, and also how do we create a higher level of intimacy between people, whether they are located in the US or in China or in the UK or wherever in the world, so that we can get people to connect in a better way and really creating more empathy between our cross-functional teams. So I'm part of the design community, so of course the design thinking mindset and the culture that I mentioned to you about is very close to my heart. And there is a design ladder that I've been following for years, since it has been created maybe 10 years ago, which is called the Danish Design Ladder. And that one is talking about the role of design in the companies. And it starts with design not being present, to design just looking after aesthetics, to design starting to be involved into the processes, to design being part of the strategic conversation, to then this extended version that I'm showing you now, which is talking about step 5, which is design really being impactful into the way that we are contributing to a systemic change into the organization. And step 6 is really the way we are impacting the culture of the company and the way we are helping the company connect even better with its customers and consumers in order to create a superior level of emotional relationship, which is what I started the presentation with. And so to end up, PepsiCo is very committed to design. We are receiving a great level of support from the board, from the higher instances of the organization. And Mauro Porcini, with our Chief Design Officer here at PepsiCo, has created that team 10 years ago. He successfully grew the team from 0 to 300 designers now around the world. And everything we do is about people. Everything we are is about people. And this is how we are connecting in a better way, I would say, with consumers. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And if you agree with me, let's now open the floor to questions if you have any. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christian. I'm sure everyone is sat at home shouting, we agree. But that was brilliant. And might I say, one of our better designed presentations this week, which I wouldn't expect anything less. You started and ended on a really interesting point, which is one of our 3 key themes of this summit, which is about culture. So I know you've already touched upon it throughout, but I would love to know how kind of tangibly you think that branding can affect and change company culture internally and externally, although I'm personally more interested in the internal element.
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned branding, and I'm going to correct that with design.
Yes,
because
okay.
branding is one of the many components of design, and actually the culture is really impacted through the core principles of design thinking, which is really about working as a team, connecting people through the creative process and the creative mindset, integrating the 3 components that I mentioned on desirability, feasibility, viability, which clearly means not allowing people to work in silos, but really getting them to work together. This is why I briefly mentioned Miro and Workrooms Horizons, because we are also leveraging those tools to make sure that we are breaking those barriers. And in the digital world, I mean, clearly, this is all about putting people together, creating empathy, and making sure that we are not losing connections, and making sure that those silos are disintegrated by the digital world and the digital opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And then I'm going to kind of piggyback on our session before this, which was around, you know, in the economic downfall of which, you know, that happens throughout history, how to protect culture. How important do you think it is to keep investing in design and these elements, even in the more challenging times?
So
I'm sure your answer will be very.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we just announced our results 2 days ago, and the growth for PepsiCo for the second quarter is 13%, of which food is 17%. So these are amazing numbers, never seen in the food industry. So really outstanding numbers, and this shows again that the right level of empathy and the right level of emotional connection with consumers is really what matters. Because we've been working hard in order to best serve our consumers, and you know our statement is really creating more smiles for every sip and every bite. And this is what we have successfully managed during the past 2 years through that emotional connection that has been built year after year after year as we further, I would say, elaborated our brands and the way we are providing benefits to consumers, not just from a product perspective, but also from what the brands stand for. Because at the end, those brands speak for themselves in terms of who you are, what you do, and why you are picking a certain brand versus another. It's really tell a lot about you. And so this is going, I would say, from the outside in terms of exciting as well our employees around the culture and the relationship that we're creating with consumers through our brands. And this is how basically, even in, I would say, an economic turmoil that we're all going through these days, we've been incredibly successful, which is, of course, energizing everybody in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess with the great resignation in mind as well, it's attracting the best out there, you know, those people with the right skill sets, they're going to come to the brands that align with them and that they can see. Yeah, absolutely. Short of PepsiCo, of course, who else are you seeing out there that's doing well in terms of their branding and design? Who else is out in front doing well here?
Well, I mean, it's always tricky to comment because, of course, we admire a lot of small brands, you know, which are innovating, I mean, in their garages, which are creating new products, new messaging, new storytelling, and new ways to connect with consumers. And I'm not going to give any specific name because I don't want to, you know, spot on anyone. But what we particularly admire clearly are companies that are successful into creating this DTC approach and new ways of basically creating an intimate relationship with consumers. So creating that specific intimacy in order to give a direct access to specific services or specific products that are clearly connecting even better with consumers. And there is a myriad of opportunities, I mean, and companies that we can definitely admire for that specific connection that they are creating through technology and through digital connections in order to give access to consumers. And you know, living in New York City, I mean, of course, we have everything we want at the corner of the street. We can do whatever we want, anywhere, anytime. So the digital, you know, connection is really adding a lot of, I would say, opportunities, not just for people in New York, but also creating services for people who don't have access to those many things at the corner of the street.
Yeah.
And when it comes to nutrition particularly, there are a lot of companies that are creating really good, I would say, services around nutritious meals that they are delivering to the home of people. So it's never been so easy to be fit, to be healthy through the digital technology, because you can track your data, you can access the kind of food you need or you want, you can understand better what's good for you. And this is what I admire and what I see as being guiding also some of our efforts in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I can even hear New York City in the background there.
Sorry for that.
No, it's fine. It's good. It adds to it. Absolutely. So another one of our themes that we've talked about a lot over the last 3 days is around collaboration. You said your team has gone from 0 to 300 in a fairly short space of time. Do you have any tips on how you've managed to collaborate well, going from, you know, well, no team, very small team, to a big one?
Yeah, so I mean, as I told you, I'm relatively new. I'm a newcomer with 2.5 years at PepsiCo. I mean, clearly Mauro Porcini has been the architect and you know, the one who brought this story to life. It's been an amazing journey. He started alone, as I said. Now we are 300, and basically he took, you know, the challenge one by one. So, you know, starting with the ladder that I've shared with you earlier, you know, demonstrating what is the value most likely into branding, graphic design, packaging design, you know, aesthetics, you know, first maybe, before you then grow up the ladder and before you are more impactful on the strategy. So the ladder that I've shared with you is one of the many ways to look at the way you are crafting a strategy in order to internalize resources and progressively gaining more traction and more interest into the company in order to be even more impactful. And clearly, design is impacting on what we are producing for consumers out there, but design is impacting as well on any set of the, you know, collaborative requirements that are occurring in the company, whether this is about HR or whether this is about, you know, the way any sort of team is interacting in different departments.
Yeah, really interesting. I loved that ladder. Thank you for sharing. We only have 2 minutes left, so I'd like to spend that time by looking ahead, so into the rest of 2022 and beyond, of course, into 2023. What are your predictions, your trends? What are you going to see next in this industry?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm even looking further beyond, right? Because, I mean, if I can just comment on 2022, despite all of the turmoil and all of the, you know, fears that some of us might have with regards to the business, based on the announcement of our results on Tuesday, our CEO has raised its guidance in terms of what we're going to deliver for the year 2022. So 10% growth is what we are targeting, while so far it was 8%. So this means that our company feels confident up to the point of raising its guidance, which is, I mean, I would say something that we are all excited about, of course, even if it's going to be extremely challenging for all the reasons that we know of. Now, my focus is obviously in the longer run, you know, in terms of who are we as a company, and how are we going to show up to our consumers in the long run. And so clearly today we have a portfolio that is around beverages and snacks, and we are going to evolve that portfolio toward more what it means of being a real food company. So this means that we want to be part of people's diet. We want people to be mindful of their diet. We want people to still enjoy life and indulge, but we want people also to be more educated in a way for what nutrition means and how it can help them live a better life.
Absolutely, that's really admirable and a great place to end. So thank you so much, Christian, for joining us today, for closing us out in style. Absolutely, it's been great to meet you, Christian. And if people want to get in touch, can they find you on LinkedIn and such?
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Christian. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Same to you all. Have a great weekend all. Thank you.
All right, thank you again to Christian. And indeed, thank you to all of our speakers this week. It's been brilliant. But most importantly, thank you all for watching, for connecting in the chat, for asking questions, for being part of this and for making it your summit. And I also want to say a huge thank you to my co-host, Ben Thompson, who is joining me here. This is actually our last summit of H1 at GDS, and Ben here has hosted more than the lion's share of them. So it felt only right to get him back up to say thank you and see us out in style. So welcome back, Ben.
Thanks very much, Steph. What a week it has been. Lovely to have you all with us. Expectations around our ability to transform are evolving at breakneck speed. And that's putting a huge responsibility on the shoulders of you folks here this week to act. It's been fascinating to hear how you're all responding in order to keep up with and, in many cases, even get out in front of that change.
Absolutely. Well, our post-event portal will provide you with all the insights and information from this summit, plus access to the connections that you've made and a recap of everything you've experienced, all with the aim of helping you to continue these conversations, including all of your brilliant one-to-one meetings moving forwards.
Yeah, speaking of which, we do continue with those personalised programme of meetings this afternoon, so do check your individual agendas for all the latest schedule information. There is still much to look forward to.
Absolutely. And if you would like to join us at our next event, then please do let us know on the Summit feedback call and give us any feedback that you have felt from your 3 days here. We'll be back later in the year and we'd love to bring you along with us for now, so let us know if you would like to join us. But for now, thanks for being here with us for these last couple of days. It's been our pleasure to host you, hasn't it, Ben?
It absolutely has, Steph. From the entire Summit team, stay safe. Best of luck with whatever you're working on in the rest of 2022. And we look forward to seeing you all at the next event. Goodbye from us.
Goodbye.